Hi, everybody. Scott Riley, the Market Update Desk, August 28th. It's chilly outside. I am not excited about the weather change. You all know I like the 90, 100 degrees, and these nights are killing me at 40 degrees getting down to. So, definitely changing the temperature outside. And now kids are back to school and things are picking up. So want to go over what's been going on the last couple of days and start to lead into the very busy activity next week. So we all know what's been going on with the media and Fed Governor Cook and President Trump talking about the quote mortgage fraud. There's a lot to play out with that. Fed Governor Cook has said she'll sue to stay on the Fed board. So we'll kind of see what's going on with that. It all revolves around claiming more than one home as your principal residence. And as I've been reading, I think it's within a 4-week time period. And that's a huge no no. If it's correct, that's a huge no no in the mortgage world. If I did that as a customer or a loan officer, specifically as a loan officer, I would be booted off and no longer be eligible to write mortgage loans. Also, I did read today, very interestingly, that Texas Attorney General Paxson, there's questions about if he did this too. My guess is there's many, many, many politicians that have done this little trick to try to save themselves money as opposed to what they think other people should pay, because that's what they wrote into guidance and law. So very interesting, a lot to play out with that. So yesterday we had the Conference Board consumer confidence shows that overall consumer confidence came down from 98.7 to 97.4. Specifically, those saying that jobs were plentiful fell to the lowest level since March of 21. And those saying that jobs were hard to find came in at the lowest level since February of 21. So that's a 4-year time frame, 4.5-year time frame. So that's pretty interesting to follow. We also had New York Fed president yesterday come out and talk on CNBC. Now he's a the New York Fed president specifically is always a voting member on the Fed. So he thinks rates are restrictive by up to 7/8, 0.875 or 87.5 basis points. And that he currently thinks the labor market is, quote, solid. I really don't know how he can say that with a straight face. It's very befuddling because clearly he's not looking at the revisions that happen and what the net effect from those revisions are, and specifically within the household survey data. So is he just regurgitating the headline information without wanting to go into the depth of it and wanting it to sound better than what it is? So it's very curious. And, we can only hope that he's actually not making decisions and opinions based on this specific statement, because no, the jobs market is not solid. It's the opposite. Mortgage applications for last week, purchases were up 2%, refinances were down 4%. But overall, refinances are up by, I believe, 20% year over year. And the reason being, people are understanding that consolidating all the other debt, looking at your blended rate and leveraging the equity in your house can save you tens of thousands of dollars by consolidating that and paying down quicker on your mortgage. So we also, after hours yesterday, we got the 900-pound gorilla, the NVIDIA quarterly earnings. They did show a beat on both top and bottom line. They did fall slightly in their stock price because there's some questions regarding still the China market and their H2 chip and what they're going to be able to do. Now, this morning, we got GDP for Q2, and that was a beat to the upside. Came in at plus 3.3% versus market expectations of 3%. Specifically, within the report, we see consumer spending rose 1.6%, which was 0.3 better than the market had planned on. Now, within the data, we saw imports fell 29.8% since April 2 is what we're saying. And also exports are down 1.3%. So those did have a little bit of muted effect on overall GDP. Now, the other item we're talking about is jobless claims. Yesterday, initial claims came down 5,000, which on its face value is good, at 229,000 for the week. Continuing claims were down 7,000 to 1.95 million. So, number one, we're still seeing very elevated continuing claims. But when we look at total unemployed individuals versus those with initial claims and continuing claims, those that have fallen off the continuing claim ability are still not finding jobs, and that could be upwards of 700 to 900,000 individuals. So these jobless claims, while they are somewhat elevated, they're more than likely, when you add the whole pie together, significantly higher than actually what we're seeing as far as the total number of unemployed. Now, the big thing for the week tomorrow is going to be the PCE report, personal consumption expenditures. Now, one thing that we always look at is what the replacement value is. In other words, the number that's falling off the 12-month run rate. So we're going to lose a 0.17 number from last August. Now, the market's forecasting about a 2/10 number for this month. So we're going to lose 0.17, and we're going to gain most likely a 0.2%, maybe 0.3%. So we are probably going to see a 1/10 tick up in both core and headline PCE. My guess is the bond market's going to take that in stride, because actually Chairman Powell talked about that at the Jackson Hole Symposium, that he thought PCE is going to come in at 2.9%. So they did give a little bit of foreshadowing on that. So I think the bond market has that in play already. Now, within all this data, the component that still sticks with us is shelter costs. So one thing that came out today is apartment lists showed that year over year, apartment blended rent renewals are down 9/10. But when we look at the figure that is in the total shelter cost for PCE, it's upwards of 4%. So there's this big difference, this continued lag effect. And this is the problem with a lot of what the BLS does, is imputed data, specifically owner's equivalent rent, and not having real-time data within their computation. So PCE's realistically overstated because it's not using real-time data. So 10-year treasury, as I'm looking right now, is down 2 basis points to 4.220. We are seeing kind of a nice line coming down in the 10-year treasury and a line going up in mortgage-backed securities. I think we do have a path down to about 4.10, depending how this PCE number comes in, as long as it's not too hot. And then next week is going to be a very big barometer with the jobs report. So we're staying real busy in the market. We're doing lots of pre-approvals, lots of closings, and we're helping borrowers get their offers accepted with our market relationships, knowledge, and experience. Give us a call, 616-293-2189. Hope you have an awesome afternoon.